Welcome. I am Annette Reeder from the biblicalnutritious.com, and today it's about barley, butternut, and cheese. Yes, we're going to be making our cheesy butternut barley dish, and I also like it because barley, one of our main ingredients, is one of the 7 foods of the Promised Land. And you know I'm all about biblical foods and what is their meaning and their significance, and hey, let's enjoy them today. And that's what we're going to do with this dish. So let's get started. Our first step is to combine 3 cups of water with our 1 cup of barley, and then we're going to add just a dash or 2 of salt and bring that to a boil. After we bring it to a boil, we're going to reduce it to a simmer, and then we're going to cover it for 35 minutes, or pretty much until all of the water is absorbed. Our next step, while our barley is cooking just right there on the stove, getting ready to boil, we are going to heat up our oil, our olive oil. We have 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And to this, we're going to go ahead and add our minced garlic. And we're just going to let that get started. Now you only need to cook the garlic for about 30 seconds just to give it a head start. And now we're going to add our diced onion. Now when you dice your onions, you may make them a little bit smaller. I just love to bite into good onions. We're going to cook the onions for about 3 minutes, not on super high, just a medium high. We want them to be translucent. When they're translucent, that means we are going to get the best flavor out of those onions, and our dish is going to be amazing. As you can see, our barley is boiling, so we're going to reduce that to a simmer. We're just going to put a lid on it and let that cook for about 35 minutes. Now I kind of stepped away for a little bit and wasn't stirring, so my garlic got a little bit brown, but it's still going to taste good, so I'm going to continue on. And now we're going to add the diced butternut squash, and this is going to cook for about 10 minutes until it's fork tender. While the butternut squash is cooking for these 10 minutes in the onions and garlic, make sure you stir it every once in a while just to make sure it's not sticking to the sides or the bottom. We really want to make sure all of the butternut squash is cooking evenly. Our barley is perfectly fork tender, so we're going to go ahead and dish this out and get it ready for our next step. We have the squash completed and our barley is still cooking, so we're going to go ahead and make the sauce. So I'm going to take our 2 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to turn my stove on and get that melting. To that, I'm going to be adding the flour until I can make a paste. I've melted the butter, so I'm going to go ahead and add our flour. This is a chance that you could easily use a gluten-free flour if that's important for your family's health. I'm basically just using some einkorn flour today. I use all the grains: spelt, kamut, einkorn, hard wheat, hard red. I just love the variety. So I kind of have my paste now. So I'm going to go ahead and add in my seasonings, which includes 1/3 cup of fresh rosemary. I'm doing a dash of nutmeg. I'm doing 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, and then also a teaspoon of salt. Mixing those in. Now I'm going to add our milk. See, I've got it up just a tad too high. You can tell by that instant steam. You don't really want to teach your children to cook like that because they could get easily burned by the steam. So let me turn that down. Okay. And I'm also going to add our 1 cup of yogurt. I prefer doing yogurt versus 2 cups of milk because I'm getting extra protein. Not so much going to benefit from the probiotics in the yogurt because of the heat. It's going to kill most of them off, but I am still getting the protein from the yogurt. All right, so I love the freshness of using the rosemary just straight off of the plant in my backyard versus the dried. If you don't have it in your backyard, I totally understand that. Just go ahead and use some dried rosemary. Rosemary grows pretty much all year long unless I have a really bad freeze. So I can pretty much go out and get it anytime I need it every month of the year. I'm gonna go ahead and add my cheese and let's get that melting. So we're using 2 cups of grated cheddar cheese. I do not buy already grated cheese because they have chemicals on it to make sure it doesn't stick. I like to grate my own and I get a fresher taste. We're going to have Parmesan cheese as well, but that's going to be our topping once we put it in the bowl. Let me stir this up. Now that I have a nice smooth cheesy texture, this is part of the recipe is done. This cookware that I use is a waterless stainless steel cookware, and it actually cooks faster than most recipes will teach you. So this is supposed to cook for 30-35 minutes. Well, it has only been 25 minutes and my barley is done, ready to be used in this delicious recipe. So your cooking may vary as well depending on what type of cookware you have, if it's glass, if it's stainless steel, if it has several plies to it. It all depends on that as to how long it's going to take for your cooking. Now comes the fun part of putting it all together and then baking it in the oven. And I have my butternut squash sitting out here as a reminder to you. It's just a really easy vegetable to grow, and anyone can grow it, even if you only have a flower bed outside. You could throw it in your flower bed. So I'm going to put my barley, my cooked barley, into this bowl. To this, we're going to add the cooked squash, which is marinated with the onions and the garlic. And now we get to add our cheese sauce. Yum. So just go ahead and just take this from the skillet straight into my mixing bowl. We are combining a lot of really good flavors today. The fresh rosemary really makes a big difference in the flavor. So I really want to encourage you to also grow your own rosemary. There's been a couple times I've had to start all over because of a hard freeze in the middle of winter, but for the most part, it just grows beautifully. All right, I wish you were here. This smells really good. You can see how well this is mixing up. And I just have to say, yeah, those green specks from the rosemary sure do add a touch. Okay, so now we're going to take this and put it into our casserole bowl. Just going to put that in there. As you know, if you've been following my videos, I've got some really good videos out there on the health benefits of barley. I also have a video out there on how to peel a butternut squash. There's actually an art to it. Now let's go ahead and add our Parmesan cheese for the topping. This would be about 3 to 4 ounces of Parmesan cheese. Looks like I have more than I need for this recipe. I'll just use about half of what I measured out here. All right, there we go. We will pop this in the oven at 350 and let it bake for about 30 minutes. Now, I almost forgot to tell you one of the important steps. We're going to actually cover it with foil for the first 25 minutes of baking to prevent that cheese from burning. So we're going to cover that neatly with some foil. And now we're ready to pop it in my oven. It's already preheated at 350 and ready to go. We had just taken it out of the oven. Oh, there you go. Doesn't that look delicious? Because this is actually a very healthy protein, fiber content, it can actually be the main course of our meal. So I'm going to serve it right here with my salad and just make that my main course. Lots of fiber, lots of delicious protein. I can't wait for my family to try. All of the recipe will be posted down below so you can follow all of the details carefully. Also, they'll be posted on my website so you can catch it there. I'm Annette Reeder, the Biblical Nutritionist. And remember, every time we have a meal with barley, we're reminded of the 7 foods of the Promised Land. And those are a reminder of God's promises, His provision, and His grace. Our conferences are always called Flavor of Grace because I want to serve everyone the grace that God has given to me. Hey, I'm Annette Reeder, the Biblical Nutritionist. Be sure and hit the like, subscribe, notifications, everything. But I really look forward to reading your comments. Thanks for watching.